Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Marketing from the Trenches podcast. I've got a great episode for you here today, and it's with my friend and my long-term, I'd call him an inspiration to me because I've been following him for a while, and that's Greg Cassar. So Greg is a marketer's marketer. He's kind of OG, been around the traps, has done and built some incredible businesses. So it's an absolute pleasure to have him on this episode. Now, we talk about all different types of things, such as business models or what business models he's found to have worked. We talk about how he went from agency to doing $1 million in sales plus some on Amazon. And we also talk about incentive-based marketing and this great program that Greg's using at the moment to help close really big deals. So it's a fascinating episode. It's been such an inspiration to follow Greg's journey, and I'm so grateful that he took the time to come onto the podcast and share his knowledge with myself and you as well. So I think you get a whole bunch of great value from this episode. As I said, Greg has been around the traps and done a lot and built a lot of businesses, done a lot of great marketing. So I think you're going to get a lot of learning from this episode as well. So we're going to jump straight into it. But before we do, as always, please do subscribe and leave me a review and a comment and let me know what you liked about the content, what you like to see more of in future, and any other thing or feedback you have for me. Your reviews and your subscriptions are super important. It helps us get the message out there, and it helps me really get a feel for what type of content you like to see, whether it's more systems-based, whether it's looking at business models or other businesses, or even talking to other marketers about specific topics. So please do go through, and if you like what you hear, please do leave me a review and let me know what you want more of. And if you know anyone who could benefit from this content, please do share this with him or her. It's super, super helpful. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. It's going to be an absolutely awesome episode because Greg has done just so much in marketing and in business. And I'll see you all on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Marketing from the Trenches podcast. And I've got a very, very special guest with us today. I've got Greg Cassar. And Greg, man, it's amazing to have you on. I've been a big fan of yours for years and years and years. Have followed your journey as you've evolved. And dude, I'm super honored to have you on here.
Hey, thanks, Will. I've seen you speak. I know you know your stuff. So as soon as we spoke about this, I jumped at it. So happy to spend time together. And also, if I can add some value to your community, then that's awesome.
You absolutely could, because I've heard you on a few other podcasts, including James Schramko's podcast. You've got your own event, so I know exactly how much experience and work you've done in the marketing field. So definitely, I think you'll add a whole bunch of value, and I think everyone will love hearing from you. So let's start at the very beginning, because over the years, I've seen you kind of evolve a lot in terms of the marketing that you're doing. I believe you were in the agency, and then you changed a couple of times, and you're working on some pretty cool projects now. But walk us through the journey for you so far.
Yeah, it's a good question, Will, because I think a lot of people would look at where I'm at now, and then one thing I do hear is, oh, that guy got lucky. Do you know what I mean? But I'm sort of 16, 17 years into that journey. And while in some ways I did get lucky, luck is labor under correct knowledge, meaning you can engineer your luck. So by making yourself a better version of you, when opportunities come along, you're in a better position to identify them and to act on them. So I was in corporate IT, and I had a good, safe job, but it was awesome. I worked my way up to be an enterprise architect, designing computer networks and all that kind of stuff. And it was really, really cool. But I knew that it wasn't really like where I meant to be, because I did an upsell for a corporate client. I made an extra $1 million worth of value for the company that I worked for. And I got paid a $200 Maya gift voucher as a bonus for trading them $1 million. And that was a slap in the face, Will, but it was great because that was a good turning point. I thought, I'm never going to be dependent on one person, one company, whatever, ever again. So we were already starting to do some stuff on the side. We'd been selling stuff on like about property investing and books and courses, that kind of thing. Got good at selling stuff on the internet, and then had lots of people say, hey, could you help me with that? And that's how we morphed off we accidentally became an agency, got to the point where we got a little bit of jump money together, and then was able to quit the day job and run the agency, which we did for 6.5 years. And it was awesome. We learned so much. We worked with so many amazing folks, but I wanted a more leveraged model. And I might talk about that in a minute, which is leverage. And then morphed into becoming a coach. We ran a mastermind for many years, about 6.5 years again, which was called The Collective, which was really a high-end digital marketing mastermind. And through that journey, I was pretty much always in masterminds, and I was often, like you spoke about James Schramko, often we would bump into each other at airports or at different events or at Google or whatever, so we would, that constant investing, you are your greatest asset. So investing in your knowledge, investing in your mindset. I've just been like an amazing student at that, because I would say kind of like there's not really anything that much special about me. Like if you look at it from school, I was in the top third, top quarter, but I was certainly no genius, but I wasn't a dummy either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the difference was just resilience. So all the people that started when I started, most of them have quit. When it gets hard, people quit. I just never quit. I think the trick is just keep picking yourself up and just keep going one more time after life kicks you in the guts, that kind of thing. And then, now we've morphed to a business model where what we call rainmaker partnerships, which is win-win deals. We look for hero businesses or star businesses. So just businesses that are going up like this kind of despite themselves, you know what I mean? And then you apply a growth hacker, which is really what I am, or a rainmaker partner in your business like that. It just grows exponentially, and then you just take a small slice. It's so we've got a couple of those deals as well as a SaaS of our own and that kind of stuff. So now have a very, very high level of freedom. And we spoke, if I can just add on that. So one of the big things that I learned through this whole journey was leverage. Okay. So there's a direct association between leverage and your level of freedom. So if you think about your day job, it's very much a 1-for-1. I turn up, I sit down, I'm there for my 8.5 hours or whatever, and I'm going to get paid exactly for those 8.5 hours, and then that's it. And if I might be able to do a little bit of overtime, but it's really capped, that kind of thing. I figured out what I call the business model freedom scale, where the day job is really like the worst from a freedom and leverage point of view. And it goes right through to SaaS, software as a service, is really the greatest from a leverage and a freedom point of view, because you have the leverage of code and hosting and all that kind of stuff going for you. So it kind of goes like from worst or least leverage and least lifestyle design to the best. It's really like from day job to a local business, then to services business, then information and e-commerce. They could be flipped, one or the other, but they both have amazing kind of leverage associated with them. And then really SaaS is the ultimate business model. And nearly, I've found that pretty much every business model comes down into that. And I can give you a diagram that really summarizes that, what I call the business model freedom scale. And what I found is that as you get better and better, it kind of opens up doors, and you can kind of keep moving along to different and better business models further along the freedom scale. Because one thing is, like, you can do the same amount of marketing, but if you apply it to a better business model, then you get a dramatically different result. So Russell Brunson, I was in his mastermind, and he was in a circle, but I knew him before he launched ClickFunnels, and because we were in the same masterminds and stuff together. He was amazing. He's an amazing marketer, right? So say he was doing $5 to $10 million a year, very, very smart, but then change his business model to SaaS, software as a service with ClickFunnels, and then it's more of $100 million a year business. Similar marketing, but better business model. And that's what that really, really makes a difference. And that's why I love SaaS so much, why I love e-commerce so much, and I love info businesses. And they're kind of like the main space that I play in now.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story. And I think it goes to the small business owners listening to this. They might be like, well, that's all well and great. But, we're kind of stuck in the local bit, right? Like, how do you transition? And I think that's such a good introduction from you, because it's one of those things where I always say, like, marketing is just a small part of the business. Like, you can have the best marketing in the world, but if you've got the wrong business model, if you've got the wrong product, if you've got the wrong offering in the niche, there's no amount of marketing that can grow it. So, even as a small business owner, I'm sure there's like opportunities, right, to kind of move along that scale.
Agreed. And I think really the first bit starts with that knowledge and mindset. So most small business owners I meet, they're just really kind of more like operators than they are business owners, and they're more focused on doing the actual thing. So if I'm a chiropractor, I'm focused on the whacking and cracking, not as much the marketing and the growing of the business, that kind of thing. So I think there's a real realization at some stage for SMB, small to medium business owners, of that the real money isn't actually in the whacking and the cracking, which is a Mal Emery quote. The real money is in the marketing and the growing of the thing. And in some ways and it kind of sucks a little bit, but you are where you deserve to be on that journey. It's because it's a similar sort of thing. Like if I won the lottery and I've done nothing on my mindset and all that kind of stuff, I might win $1 million or two, and then 4 or 5 years later, then back to zero or nothing. You know what I mean? So you've got to have the right mindset to be able to do it. So I think for small business owners, the real key is just like learning everything you can about financial IQ, mindset, marketing, sales, that kind of stuff. Get really, really good at small business, and small business actually is formulaic. Like, and we can talk about that. There's a formula and a recipe for really cranking just about any small business. And then looking at that like business model freedom scale, saying, okay, well, if there is business models out there that give me more leverage, what could they like? What model could I work to? You know, what market could I really serve and provide massive value for? And then this is an important one. Like, it's who do I need to become to like really smash it there? And I think that's where you can look at, for example, you know, modeling and that kind of stuff. And you spoke about like, so you and I, if you look at our two stories, we're on a very similar journey. I'm probably just a couple of years in front on that journey. Do you know what I mean? I'm a little bit older and I've done a few more different things, but we've basically gone on the exact same journey. So there's modeling that can be done to get there a whole bunch faster. Like, it's taken me a long time to get here, but these days there's so much better info. You can get this, you can compress time and get there heaps faster.
Yeah, it's actually amazing, because I think one of the reasons I followed you very early on is because I had the IT career as well. I had something similar, you know, didn't quite make my company $1 million and get given the pen or whatever, but my whole story was they forced me to take leave without pay because it was Christmas. And then next year when I asked for an extra couple of days of leave, they were like, no, you've already taken too much. So that was kind of my little trigger.
Nice.
as happens in corporate. So yeah, I've kind of, you know, I think that's such a great message as well. And definitely that modeling for me, I think 90% of my success comes from modeling what other people are doing, and just looking at people who have gone ahead, and yourself definitely, and James, and looking at, you know, the path that you've walked and looking at the actions you've taken. Just kind of, it helps you side skirt a lot of challenges. So I think that's a really good point. The thing that you mentioned there, the formula that you mentioned, Greg, is really, really interesting to me. So the small business formula to grow a small business.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit. Like,
Okay.
what is the formula to you?
Cool. It doesn't really matter what type of small business it is. Like, realistically, it's a formula and it's a recipe. So what JD John Dwyer calls the director of first impressions is your website, right? So for most small businesses, it's really just like starting with having a good website that has some direct response elements, but basically, like, when they first get to the website, people know what it's about and they're with them, you know, what's in it for them. And it's got calls to action on there so that they can call, they can inquire, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it takes them on a journey, but it's really about the benefits for the customer. It's not about, hey, how great we are, you know what I mean? Which is very common. So often people just need to flip that around. And then if you think about most small businesses, generally they've got multiple different services. And then a common mistake I see over and over again is like they've got all their services on one page rather than, and Google says that a page that's about multiple things is a page that's about nothing. So it's okay to have a category page that says, these are our different services. Like, say, for example, we're a mortgage broker and we might have a refinance your home loan, and we might have a first home loaners, you know, service, that kind of stuff. But they ultimately need to be, boom, their own page, you know, about those things with calls to action at top and bottom, you know, beautiful sales copy that takes them on the journey, that kind of thing. And for most businesses, it's really just about like getting leads. So whether it's phone calls or whether it's getting web leads. So that's kind of like where you start with small businesses. And then from there, figuring out like the lowest hanging fruit. And often it's like starting with Google search, is because those people already have intent. Okay. So there was a service previously, like, so Google AdWords is amazing. But it's not really the sort of things most small businesses can do themselves. They're better off to work with a Google Premier partner to get that done. I think it's just too complicated these days. If businesses do want to do it themselves, there was a service called AdWords Express, which is now called, what is it? Google Smart something, marketing. But basically you can just write a headline, you tell it what page you've got, you write some other sales copy, like 2 or 3 lines of text, and send through. That works really, really great. And you can just set it for like a small geographical area, like 15 kilometers around our, you know, shop and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So starting with those kinds of things, like on Google, and then, for example, the same thing then applies with Facebook and Instagram, etc., YouTube, where, so Google, they're actually searching for it, whereas those others are disruption mechanisms. So but we live in an amazing time now where rather than just broadcast mechanism, hey, I'm going to put my ad on TV and it's going to go out to everyone. But my 16-year-old daughter is going to see it. My wife's going to see it. My grandfather's going to see it. Well, who's the target market there? Well, probably none of them, Well, whereas like in today's modern world, you can create low cost videos and then put them in front of the exact right people. And then, for example, Facebook has an offering called Reach Ads, where it allows you to put that video just in front of the right folks. You know what I mean? And then, so you don't have to broadcast it anymore, just laser targeted. And then what most people miss as well is what retargeting or remarketing, 2 words really for the exact same thing. So it's talking about if someone hit your website, in the most simplest example, building like an invisible list of them and then starting to show those guys ads and girls ads because they've shown interest. Or if they've watched your video on Facebook, now starting to show stuff to them. That way you can take people, on a journey. It used to be all about like we have to build the email list, and that's still important, but you can do a lot now just with audiences. If they hit that page or they watch that video, then follow them up with more and more sequences. There's there's kind of a balancing act to happen there. But that's kind of like the 80-20 of any, small business. And we talk about incentives and we'll talk about how to, make your offers and stuff stand out more later. But that's kind of like the 80-20 of, what you would do. And I know you guys do a lot of, I saw you talk about the email marketing stuff that you do, which was very, very ninja. I got a lot of great stuff out of that. So you guys are really like at the pointy end of that industry, I believe.
Oh, thanks, Rick. Yeah, for me anyway, a lot of the stuff that we do is it's at the point where it might be too much for small businesses. But I think what you covered, and I'm a big believer in that the 80-20 principle, where they can do 20% of the things effectively and get really good results, especially because you're in such a local area that, their competition are other smaller businesses who may be in the same situation. It's not like you're going up against huge agencies who are dealing with multi-million-dollar budgets. For us, for example, we've got international clients and they do have the bigger budget, so we can do some more of the advanced stuff. But I find that if you're local and smaller, you don't necessarily need all that kind of stuff. And it is coming down to 80-20. So yeah, that was great. I think that's everything that you covered there. If they can get that done, I think a small business, local business would just kill it.
You'll crush most of your competition. One thing we didn't talk about, Will, was outfits today.
Matching
this that we've got synchronized. White.
Yeah, mate. It's I think it comes down to great minds. Great minds think alike, right? That's awesome. So like that was really great. But I think one of the things that you've gone into recently, which I'm so curious about, is incentive-based marketing, because it's been around for a while, but I don't think in this day and age, I think it kind of gets lost in all the new hypey techie stuff. People spend so much time talking about this Facebook algorithm, doing ads this certain way. But I think some of the fundamental psychological stuff that has been used for centuries, I think that's still more important than all the tech stuff. So I'd love to get your take and see what you're doing in terms of incentive marketing, because it's so powerful.
Yeah, so this has really been like, if I think about my journey in the last year or two, maybe even longer with it when I think about from stuff that we were doing in the coaching as well. In this incentive-based marketing, so my business partners and I, as a group, we've done more than 200 million in sales, using incentive-based marketing. So it really, really works. There's another Aussie guy here in Australia I'll talk about as well. He's done more than 15 billion in sales using incentive-based marketing. So it really, really works. So we break it down to simple. So what is incentive-based marketing? Incentive-based marketing is like talking about, well, if everyone's going out with the same offer, we're kind of in a sea of sameness. So how do we stand out? And you can compete on price, but if you race to the bottom on price, what happens actually is your profitability just goes out the window. So, because if you get really, really simple, and a lot of people don't really understand this, but so we'll say I was working, with you in your business, and then we did one strategy and we increased the revenue by $1,000 a month. And then we did another strategy where we reduced your expenses by $1,000 a month. Those two aren't actually equal. So if we increase the revenue by 1,000, that might only really be $300 in profit by the time we got taxes and cost of goods and all that kind of stuff. But if we reduce the expenses by 1,000, then that's $1,000 more profit. So what we're saying with that is we don't want to be just like racing to the bottom on price, like to win business. It's really a bit of a fool's game. So what's better is to have some kind of offer that's just like a moth to a flame. People look at it and like, wow, that is incredible. The best the best example of incentive-based marketing I've ever seen, I believe, is the McDonald's Corporation with their Happy Meal. So you say you're driving down the road, you've got the kids in the back, you're on a, the family road trip, I think just about everyone's done them. And then the parents, they'll pull over and they'll get the kids a Happy Meal because it's got the toy in there, if you've got little kids. The parents aren't focused on the price at all. Like at no stage are they saying, hang on a second, if we don't get them the toy, it's going to save us $3. They're not even really focused on that. So instead of being focused on a market of what fast food are we going to get as we're going down the highway, they've taken it from a market of everyone down to a market of one because they've got a wow offer. So really what the Happy Meal is doing is taking the eye off the price, and it's making the bonus the prize, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. The richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, is really a master of this as well. So if you think about their Amazon Prime offering, which gives you, say, for example, you pay $60 something for the year and you get free shipping, for the year, that kind of offer. But which is an amazing offer all in itself. When he brought it out, people laughed at him, but he was right. He knew he was going to get more repeat customers and all that kind of stuff. But when he brought out that offer, then they created Amazon Prime Video, and Prime Videos like Netflix, but you get that for free bundled in. So the bonus you're getting is worth as much as what you're actually paying for the thing, which just makes it a no-brainer offer, and which is why they've got really hundreds of millions of customers on Amazon Prime. The Sports Illustrated magazine did this really, really well. Back in the 80s, they had a thing called a football phone, which they had needed a promotion to sell magazine subscriptions at Christmas time. And they come up with this football phone, and if you bought the subscription as a gift, you got a football phone with it, and they sold millions and millions and millions of them. So this incentive-based marketing isn't new. It's been around for a long time, but what's amazing is not enough people use it. And often it can be because coming up with the incentive can be, expensive. My favorite incentive to use is the vacation or the holiday. Okay. And so I spoke about an Aussie who did really well with that. JD. So John Dwyer. Do you know JD at all, Will? Have you met him?
We're in the same networks, but I haven't met him yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do an introduction for you. He's a really, really sharp guy. I think you'll get good value from him. Yeah. So JD, he was a consultant working for the Greater Credit Union at the time. And everyone else was competing. He was their marketing consultant, and everyone else was competing on interest rates, which was a race to the bottom. And he went into the management meeting, at the board meeting, and he threw a Happy Meal in the middle of the table. And he said, we're going to take the eye off the price. And they're like, what? I don't think people are going to be interested. Not that. No, it's the concept of we're going to make them a bonus. And so he came up with this concept of switch your home loan to the Greater and get a free holiday. And so then people were focused on, because a lot of people, they're just working and hustling, and they might get a holiday, but they might not. The holiday is also one of those things that, like, so for example, if I was giving out free TVs or free whatever, you might say, yeah, that's great, Greg, but I actually just got a free TV. I just got a big TV a year ago. I don't really need another one, that kind of thing. Yep. But say you just got back from Bali and then I'm offering you a Thailand one, you're like, sweet, you know what I mean? So that's the sort of thing people want more and more of it. And then, so it just works amazing. So with that, like, switch to us and get a free vacation, that kind of thing. Or you can use it to increase average order values. So like I saw a gym use it recently where he was selling more of those month by month with the free trial offer in the local gym. And then, so I suggested to him, why don't you use like this service? And I'll talk about that in a minute. But, if they sign up for a 6-month program, that they get a free vacation or free holiday to Thailand, that kind of thing associated with it. So increasing the average order value, and then also scarcity and urgency, which are and anytime you can get more like emotional persuasion things happening together at once, they kind of like become like a 1 + 1 = 3. So getting, if you sign up before the end of this month, you'll get the free vacation, that kind of thing. So there was some urgency there. They were spending more, and it just worked. Yeah, it just worked nuts. Right. And we came about this offer. How we do it? We use a service called Marketing Boost. And if you check this out, you can check out marketingboost.com/growth labs. No hard pitch. I'm just saying, just check it out. Because what is amazing about this is we went out to all these hotels, and basically the way it works, hotels and resorts, they have 60 to 70% occupancy. But what
Mm.
that means is they have 30 to 40% of their rooms that are not available, that are not being used. They're vacant at any one time. And they've already got all their fixed costs. So we're able to get access to these rooms, and then we give them to business owners like you, who gives them out to their valued clients. So sign up with us, buy our $2,000 course, or become a 6-month gym membership, or whatever it is, and you'll get the free vacation, free holiday. And so the customer's happy, and they're telling everyone about it because they just got a free holiday. You know what I mean? They're stoked.
Yeah.
And then you as the business owner is happy because you now have, it's like, we're competing, but if you buy from me, you're also going to get that, which is big. You make it as much value as the whole product. And then the actual hotel and resort's happy because that's rooms that they hadn't even sold. And then, so say for example, you go along, or I go along, and I take the wife and the kids or whatever, and I go to that hotel. Say you put me into the room, I might be worth $300, $400, $500 to them through the course of the week. Does that make sense? Because
It does.
you spend money on food and drinks, and you might book an activity, that kind of stuff. So it just works out this amazing deal. And the other thing that's kind of really, this marketing boost is just, it's a rocket ship at the moment. Like, it's a SaaS that just that flies up, because for less than $500 for the year, you can really get started well, you can try it for free actually, but you can give yourself a vacation a year as well, valued at $1,500. So it's like this ridiculous offer, because you get to give away thousands and thousands of dollars worth of holidays, but even the holiday that you give yourself is worth more than your membership. So what we recommend, so say for example, if where are you based? What city are you in, Will?
So we're actually based in Sydney.
Okay,
Sydney,
you're
Australia.
based in, yeah. So if you're based in Sydney, you'd think about well, where am I likely to send my clients? And so it could be one of the Australian locations, or it could be Fiji or Vanuatu. We recommend you take that free vacation yourself, go suss it out. That way, when you're talking, that way you also that it's, for real. But that way, when you're talking about it to clients, you can build up that excitement, and you've got that firsthand experience of you went and did it yourself. You know what I mean? Because one thing about this whole incentive-based marketing is sometimes people think it can be too good to be true. And I guess, and people are kind of trained to be, hey, if it sounds too good to be true, avoid it. But sometimes if you want to get a result that's different to everyone else, you've actually got to think and act a little bit different to everyone else. If you do the exact same thing as everyone else, you're going to get the same results, and it's very, very hard to compete. So, that's why I'm just so excited about incentive-based marketing, and it's a major focus of what I do in all my offers now. Also, I work as a partner in that business now. Big time.
Greg, I don't think you need to try and convince me to take a free holiday, mate. It's it's such a, I think that's so powerful, especially for high ticket sales, because we were having a quick chat just before we started this podcast, and there's so many different applications of it, especially if your clients are worth a fair bit to you. Even things like taking them away, for us anyway, an example that we might implement for ourselves is, if you come along for a certain package when doing your marketing, instead of doing the kickoff call at your office or my office, we'll take you away for a weekend to go to Fiji and isolate all the noise that's happening, all the stuff that you've got to do, and you just focus on building your business for the next 2 or 3 days. And that's such a strong offer, right? Just being able to focus entirely on one thing. And that's something that we can package together. So,
and the other thing about it is the viral component. So they're then sharing it all virally, their photos, their Instagram, you know what I mean? It's food for Instagram, and then they're dropping your name, or really to everyone that they're talking about. Because if you do a bad job, or they perceive you do a bad job, they're telling everyone. If you give them a free holiday, they're telling everyone. It's basically the way it works. So it's a good way of them telling everyone, rather than a bad way.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And look, I'll definitely link that below, and I'll try it myself. So if you're following me on Instagram and you see me running around Fiji or something like that, it's probably for this service. So that's amazing. So look, I think I'm a big believer in incentive-based marketing as well, because one of the things that I see with a lot of my clients is they start looking at discounting and dropping their pricing and stuff like that. And I just really hate that model. I think not only are you racing to the bottom, but there's a perceived value that your product or offer has. And as soon as you mention discounting, it drops your perceived value as well. So
Yes.
it's a big struggle to get paid what you actually deserve if you start, dropping the price. Because for you as well, offering that discount mentally, I think that's got a big impact on how you approach your sales and the value that you believe that you put into the world. So big believer in what you guys do.
Yeah, geez, it really, really does work. Like as far as just makes you stand out from the crowd, and wow, yeah, it wows your customers big time. I don't know another offer that wows them better than giving them a free holiday or vacation.
It's pretty powerful. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
powerful.
nuts. So
Yeah. Awesome. So let's move on to the next little bit that I wanted to get your take on, because I know you're doing, this incentive stuff is amazing. You did really great work in the agency, but now you're kind of doing a lot of stuff on Amazon as well. So you're kind
yes.
of like, you've done so many different facets of marketing that I don't know, it's just fascinating to me, like how you piece it all together. But if you don't mind, we'd love to find out, what you're doing on Amazon, because you're doing millions and millions in sales every single year on it. So it'd be great to get your
Yeah,
take.
agreed. I've only really new to Amazon, so like within the last 2.5, 3 years. I was already very strong in e-commerce, and a lot of that I learned through working with agency clients and then having our own e-commerce stores and coaching clients and that kind of stuff. When we got onto Amazon, we did $1 million in our first year with our partners, and then we did several million, after that, and then we've really been on the fast growth track. Amazon, they just ran an event at their head office in Seattle, which was probably like a couple of weeks ago now. And they just invited the top 200 advertisers on the planet. And I was lucky enough to get a Guernsey to that one, which was really
That's
good as
awesome.
far as what's the absolute best practice right now. And then like what's coming up next. But what was smart about that from Amazon's point of view, and something we did with Marketing Boost recently as well, is, and I learned this from Mal Emery years ago, the fastest way to be a marketing expert is speak to your clients. So
Mm.
Amazon put on that show for us, but what they actually wanted was they booked a half-hour appointment with each of us. Hey, Greg,
Ah,
can you give me your feedback? What do you like about this? What don't you like about that? What do we need to do? What don't we need to do? That kind of stuff. So they were like an open book as far as, hey, we're not precious about anything. And because I had deep experience in Google and Facebook and stuff, we were able to tell them this bit's great, this bit's opportunity. And that. So it was really great win-win. So selling on Amazon is amazing. What I love about selling on Amazon is that there's millions of buyers just turning up every day. They've already got their credit card details in. They've already got their address in. They've already got their account. So the conversion rates on Amazon are crazy. So like, for example, if you take one of our products that's got an e-commerce conversion rate on the e-commerce store of 1 to 2%, on on Amazon, that same product might be 8, 10, 12, even up to 16%
wow.
conversion rate.
Jeez.
So it's dramatically different. So there's
Whoa.
some amazing things about that. Also from a lifestyle business point of view, it's pretty amazing as well, because Amazon has this program called FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, where they ship out the parcels for you. So you
Mm.
send your stock into them, into their warehouse, they receipt it, and then they'll send it out for you when a customer buys. And that's great, because when you get to the sorts of volumes that we're talking about, tens of thousands of parcels a month, you really couldn't be, the old licking the stamp and doing that yourself, you know what I mean, with the missus and kids and that.
Yeah.
You're working around the clock and you'd never get done. And like if you're like Seinfeld,
The George
making
Costanza
yourself,
episode with his wife. Yeah.
yeah, his wife, making yourself sick or killing yourself with the cheap packaging, that kind of thing. So, yeah, so fulfillment by Amazon is amazing. And they also, like, it's really another ranking factor. If you're doing fulfillment by Amazon and I'm not, then your stuff's really gonna rank better. So
Mm.
really, there's a couple different parts to it. So from a lifestyle point of view, it's amazing. Like yeah, it really, really is good. But from a cash point of view, this is the only thing I don't like about ecom, where every time you sell 1,000 units of stock, you've got to be ordering, say, 1,300 units of stock. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That kind of thing. So
Yeah.
sometimes you're going through this building phase where cash can be tight, because you can actually grow yourself broke. So you've got to,
Yeah.
you've really got to control that if you're a really, really good marketer. So that can be the downside of e-commerce. One thing that I did really smart was I'd done a couple imports before. So like if you're doing a product, you don't want to really sell someone else's product on Amazon because uh, basically it all has one listing and you don't really get to control that listing. So you really want to have like your own unique ASIN number, which is identifier number, and your own product so that you can do your own visual copy. You really need to have a trademark so that you can do a thing called brand registry, and it allows you to upload videos to your listings, and it allows you to put visual sales copy, you know what I mean? So you're not just got a text description, you can have visual elements, because within Amazon, like selling on Amazon, it really does all come down to that one listing. So you've got to do a good job on that. So you really need to own the trademark and really have your own unique product. You can do what most people do is they'll white label something. So they'll go on services like Alibaba, that kind of thing. They'll figure out what market they want to be in, and they'll find a product they think fills that market, that need. Then they'll get it a white label, which means their own brand name on it. They might get a slight change to it, that kind of thing. Then import it, send it into Amazon, and then go from there. And that works amazing. I personally found I wasn't amazing at the import side, and at times I made mistakes and that kind of thing. So I thought, I'm going to stick to what I'm really, really good at. And so a hack, really a shortcut that I took, was partnership. Because I was a high-level marketer, I figured, why don't I partner with people who've got amazing products, and then I'll apply my team. We have high-level marketing. Let's apply high-level marketing to great products and just take a small slice of the action. And so we do big numbers on Amazon, but we work with amazing partners in the US, and they do the importing, and then they've got the brand, and then we do the marketing. So they get to focus on things like product design and brand and importing, and we get to focus on things like listing optimization and then advertising, that kind of stuff. Because and it just works amazing. It really is like that 1 + 1 = 3, and that's been really the key to how we've scaled Amazon so fast, because people with amazing product, people with amazing marketing, put them together. Whereas everyone else kind of thinks about it as, hey, I've got to do everything. And maybe you do initially, like if you're getting started, but if you've got some runs on the board, you could be the product person, or you could be the marketer, and then having a smaller piece of a bigger pie with less hassle and sticking with your, like the area that you're really, really strong in. I think that works great. So basically, once you've imported the products, you've got to set up a great listing. Then you've got to go through a launch, because it's interesting. Once you've got momentum, Amazon's really, really easy. But when you're first launching a product, it's kind of difficult, because say I'm launching a product and I'm going up against you, and I've got 3 reviews and you've got 300 reviews. It's very, very difficult. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So that's where you do a launch basically with advertising, with coupon codes, that kind of stuff, to try and generate sales. Because the way that ranking on Amazon works is, it's really about, like, they're going to show, there's only a certain amount of real estate, there's only a certain amount of spots. They're going to show them to the people who have the best sales velocity. So by using coupon codes and using ads and stuff, you can get that happening. Amazon also has a program called Early Reviewer Program, where you can pay them $60 for every review they get you, and they'll get you up to 6 reviews to help you get started. So that's like another thing that can help. Once you get going though, like, and once you'll find with the product, once it gets to a certain number of reviews, whether it's, and it'll vary from market to market, but it might be 15, 20, that kind of thing, then it does kind of take on a bit of a life of its own. And when you get on a really, what I'd call a hero product, that's just a star, like we've got certain products that are number 1 in their category, and then it literally is like drinking from a fire hose. And then you look at it. So say, for example, certain products, we're selling like 8 grand more of those now, like compared to, that's per day, compared to what we were this same time last year, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. So it does really, with a lot of these things though, Amazon, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, after a while it becomes a rigged game. Like the game gets stacked in your favor. The hard thing is initially, and we've all been that little guy, or the little girl where you're just getting started, and you know what, it's hard and everything's against you, but that's where it's that resilience, keep learning, hustle, grind. And then after a while, you can get to that point where you do have that tipping point. And now, for example, you do have the reviews, you do have the, good advertising happening, the good listing, and it becomes a life for itself. And it's incredible business model, if you get it right. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think you've done it in such a good way as well, because that whole partnership thing, most people think, oh, agencies must charge an arm and a leg, so we're probably too small, or we don't want to pay the bills to work with agencies. But there are people out there and agencies out there who might look at your product and go, this is a really great product. We know how to do the marketing. Let's partner up together. I think that's a really smart way of doing it. And it's, yeah, definitely. I think you're doing it the right way. James Schramko obviously teaches a lot of this kind of stuff now as well.
Agreed.
I think, I think a lot of people will be open to the right conversations if you've got a proven product. And that's one of the things to watch out for, because if you're just getting started, and you're right, if you haven't proven the product, if you're not doing sales consistently, it's hard to bring someone on for marketing and expect them to grow your business for you. Like, you've got to have the foundations done first, right? And then that's when you partner and find the right people and, just hockey stick that growth. So,
And there's two ways to approach it. You can be the product person, or you can be the marketer person. So like just becoming good at marketing and then giving something, giving it a go. You were talking about James. It was interesting. Him and I both ended up doing the partnerships. Sometimes we go like a year without seeing each other, and then we'll meet back together, and we kind of always keep doing the same things. It's very bizarre that we've reached the same conclusions, the same sort of lifestyle design stuff, and that at the same time. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it's actually funny, because I think, especially when I first got into marketing, there weren't that many good Australian marketers out there, spreading the message, sharing the knowledge and all that kind of stuff. And you and James definitely have been, the OGs of Australian marketing, as I call it. So it's really funny to see.
OGs?
Like, I'm always OGs, the original gangsters of Australian marketing.
Right. Gotcha. I thought you were going to say the old guys.
No. The original gangsters, like the hardcore guys who pioneered the path and cut through the weeds and establish what everyone else should be doing. So I've always kind of followed the steps that you're both taking. So for me, it's interesting to see exactly how you're finding the leverage, how you guys have both engineered the lifestyle. Like, James surfs every day and does all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's great to see just how the actions you've taken to do it, and also the thinking behind it. So it's awesome for you guys to share.
And that's probably worth talking about, that lifestyle design. So I'm very similar to James in that, as lifestyle by design. So if you look at my average day, so I start at 5 a.m. as a general rule, because I'm in Australia. So my mornings are American afternoons.
Yep.
So that way I can talk to partners. We've got a couple of hours overlap. By 9 a.m, they're kind of headed off for the day, because that's nighttime for them. So by that time of day, I can either work out, or I can head off, go surfing, that kind of stuff. Come back, I'll do a couple more hours, and then, kids are home and, pool and whatever, that kind of thing. But that whole thing came about as, by design. So I knew what I wanted as far as like from a freedom and that kind of thing. And then it was actually like a massive game of chess to get there. So I needed to get good at the day job to have enough money to then get the jump money. And then then I needed to get good at the agency to replace all the expenses. And then I knew where I wanted to go. Then to more from the agency to the coaching, that was a big risk, turning off your agency to head over to that coaching type model, and then turn off the coaching. So like a lot of people in June this year, we turned off the collective mastermind, and it's just like turning off $1 million a year of billing. And a lot of people were saying to me, "You're an idiot. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Why would you turn off $1 million a year billing?" And you do notice it. Don't get me wrong. You do notice it. But would you turn off $1 million a year of billing if it gives you more freedom, if it gives you more peace, if it gives you more happiness? Because what's the value of your health? One thing is, like, if you've got a car, you can change a car, you can service the car, that kind of thing. But this vehicle that we have here, this body, you only get one of them, in this mind, that kind of thing. So whatever you can do to get to that point where you're really designing the life that you want to be. And then you might know that, hey, it's going to take 5, 8, 10 years or whatever to get to that point where I'm free. And it might take longer. Like for me, it took like 16 years or whatever to get to that point where I'm free. And some people said the amount of people that laughed at me along the journey was ridiculous. Like, it was crazy. Oh, you get rich yet? That kind of thing, all this kind of stuff. Oh, what's your latest thing you're working on now? That kind of stuff. Yeah. But they kind of don't laugh that much anymore. Like, oh, poor multi-million guy living in Byron Bay just selling stuff on the internet. Why would you do that? Like, it's like, you don't hear that often anymore, sort of thing. So it is worth it. And it's like, but everything has a price. And so are you willing to pay the price, which is like that, in the knowledge, the mindset, the picking yourself up, that just keep learning, that kind of thing. Just keep going to get to ultimately where you want to be. And then on that business model freedom scale, moving from less freedom less leverage to more freedom, more leverage over time. So those kind of things, all work together, and you really can design, the life that you want as a result of that. And I'm kind of like living proof of that. Got lucky, but it took 16 years, and I spent $250,000 plus, on my education to do that. But a really low cost one at the moment that I've been doing is Blinkist, the app. Do you know? Yeah, Blinkist. Have you seen that?
It's the one that summarizes books, right? Is that what it does?
It summarizes books, but I use it in the car. So there's an audio version and there's a text version. So say, for example, if I go for a surf in the morning, it takes me 20 minutes to get into Byron Bay. I can surf closer, 5 minutes, but the surf's not good. And if you go to Byron Bay, it's like amazing. So I'll listen to a book summary on my way to the surf, and then I'll listen to another book on my way back. So at the moment, I'm jamming like 8 to 10 books into my head a week. And so so that just starts to compound. So now, like, I'm finding lists of top 100 business books, top 50 mindset books, top whatever, you know what I mean? Investing, all that kind of stuff. And I do get that listening to a book summary isn't as great as, reading the book and that kind of stuff. But sometimes you're just getting like one gem from that, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And it kind of all adds up. So I don't know yet what the flow on effect of jamming so many books into my head in one period of time is, but I'm guessing it's going to be good, not bad.
I think it's great because it's got that crossover effect where you take an idea, apply it to a different area, and it could have such a leverage effect. I'm kind of the same. Like I purposely, so I'm in my little office now, and it's about 25 minutes away from home. So every day I've got 2 drives where I can actually listen. And for me, the flow is podcast when I'm actually driving, because sometimes I don't process the same. So I'll typically go on 2 speed. So I'll listen to a few podcasts. Really? Yeah, and then in the office I've got a whole bunch of books as well. So I'm actually very like old school. I like the tactile feel of a book.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do both.
Yeah, I do both. But one thing I do is I look at the chapter summaries, or what chapters each book is on, and I pick the ones that are most relevant to me right for this instant, and go through those, read those, action it, and then jump into the next book. And I'll come back to it later on and look at, is this chapter still relevant? Are there other chapters that I should be looking at now that I've progressed in my journey? So that's kind of my flow. But
that's smart. So then you're not wasting time on stuff that's not really relevant to you.
Yeah. So that seems to work. I mean, again, it's hard to quantify the actual benefits, but there's been a couple of times where I've had an idea that I implemented, which has gotten pretty good results. So yeah,
that's good. No, but yeah, very smart. And the same with the podcast. Like people who sit in the car and then listen to the radio, it's just like what a waste of time.
Junk in, junk out. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It really is. Rather than feeding the brain, and then it's not a waste of time that trip. So I think you and I are very similar with the way we approach our time and that journey.
Yeah, definitely. Greg, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here and sharing all your knowledge. As I was saying, I followed your kind of journey for since you were in the agency, since you moved on to coaching, all that kind of stuff. So I know how amazing your path was, and I've seen some of the challenges as well. So everyone out there thinking, oh, you got lucky. No, there's always a setback, always a challenge. But the way you approached it for me has been a huge learning experience, as much as what you've done, but your approach to it as well. So again, thanks for coming on and sharing your knowledge and experience. It's been absolutely awesome.
You're very welcome. Anytime, and congratulations to you as well. Like what you're doing here for your community, it's great. Feed their minds, and also I see some of the work you're doing with the agency and those businesses growing really, really fast. So it's a smart use of marketing. Very good.
Cool. Awesome. All right, thanks, Greg. I'll have to have you back on soon. And I'll catch you for a surf in Byron Bay, hopefully.
All the best. Cheers. Thanks, Will.